Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the February 19th regular business board meeting. I'm looking forward to hearing what they have to say, so I will turn it over to Mr.
I'm
Copeland.
going to turn it over to Mr. Mitchell, Principal of Penn Valley Elementary School.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. You're going to be viewing and listening to 4 students from a second grade classroom at Penn Valley. The theme ties into the strategic plan. It's personalized learning. So the students engage in learning projects and activities that interest them. So part of the strategic plan is providing students with developmentally appropriate opportunities to pursue differentiated areas of interest within the structured framework of a given lesson or subject. So we have 4 students here from Mrs. Colette Lefevre's class. I want to give her a shout out. She's all the way in the back. Thanks for coming. And you might have heard of these projects under different names. So it's referred to as Genius Hour, Passion Projects, Extension Menus. So when the students have an interest and they've met certain criteria in the classroom, they engage in personalized learning activities. So tonight we have Tigger, Grady, Victoria, and Grace, and they are going to tell you about their independent projects.
Hello, my name is Grace. The project I am sharing is a story script. I chose this project because I was interested in pourquoi tales. A pourquoi is a story that tells you why. Something I liked learning about is how I can use my imagination to write a script. My script is called Why Do Mice Squeak? It is about a mouse who loses his voice from singing, and then all he can do is squeak.
Stand up.
Hello, my name is Victoria. The project I am sharing is about cardinals. I chose this project because I see cardinals a lot and I would like to know more about them. Something I liked learning about cardinals is cardinals sing 20,000 songs a day.
Hello everybody, my name is Grady. I learned about if you want to make a vegetable garden. I want to make a vegetable garden so I can produce for my community. I enjoy using the computer and learning how to make a vegetable garden.
Hello, I'm Tigger. This is my parakeet report. I chose this because I like projects and doing research. One thing I liked learning about how mother parakeets are called hen parakeets.
So I want to thank the families for taking their kids out this evening. And man, you're brave. It took a lot to get up and talk in front of a bunch of adults. So thank you for preparing for this evening.
Yeah, super brave and really awesome. And I bet your parents want to take pictures. So I'm wondering if everybody wants to stand up and then just turn around so your parents can take a photo of you, your families and friends and everybody.
Hold your poster.
Okay. And we want to thank your teacher and
Thank you very
as
much.
well.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Well done.
Really well done.
So they obviously enjoy school so much, maybe we should rethink the closing and say, oh, there they go.
So, thank you all for coming.
They'll cry all the way home.
Okay, well, at this time, I'll take audience recognition on action items only. So if you would like to ask a question or make a comment about something that we are voting on this evening, that's an action item, please come sign in with Ms. LaPera at this time. we'll have time for people to speak on any issue at the end of the meeting. Is there anyone who would like to sign in? Okay. At this time, I'd like to ask to approve the attached minutes from the Board of School Directors meetings, January 28th regular business board meeting, as well as accepting the following committee meeting minutes: February 5th curriculum, February 8th policy, February 14th facilities and purchasing. Are there any questions? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? The motion passes. And I will turn it over to Mr. Copeland.
No highlights this evening. If you want, I can go right into human resources. Okay. The superintendent recommends the Board of School Directors approves the attached human resources actions HR 1 through HR 6.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? The motion passes. I'm going to have a report of the curriculum committee, which, that's why I'm getting confused, is Ms. Robinson.
Is actually Robin's going to do it.
Sorry.
No problem. No, it is confusing.
All right.
So
Dr. Van Lint.
thank you. Thank you to Ms. Robinson for covering the curriculum committee meeting on Tuesday, February 5th, in my absence for professional conflict. We had 2 presentation topics this evening for the education meeting, so there's no need to restate those. The 2 were the academic supports that Dr. Paul presented, as well as the achievement programs presented by Dr. Everslag. The one area of curriculum that has not been highlighted that the board will be voting on tonight is the textbook proposal for United States History 2016 text, Reconstruction to the Present. It is replacing a textbook currently in use from 2008. The text will be for both college prep and honors courses, is appropriate for the 11th grade reading levels, and provides a thoughtful survey of U.S. history with meaningful text features in both print edition and interactive charts, as well as a digital version of the book. The team proposed purchasing 500 textbooks at a total cost, including shipping, of $67,000, $171.38. And the curriculum committee that was present approved the proposal for full board consideration this evening. So, and the next curriculum meeting will be Tuesday, March 5th, 8:30 a.m. in this room. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Van Lint.
Let's see, under, yes, educational services. Administration recommends that the Board of School Directors approves the attached purchase of U.S. history resources at a cost of $67,171.38.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? The motion passes.
Under student services, I'd like to take items A through C in one motion. Administration recommends that the Board of School Directors approves the student services items as listed. Agreement for students receiving non-district educational services SS1 through SS9. Further, the administration recommends that the Board of School Directors approves the attached Easter Seals Agreement for special instruction services during the 2019 extended school year summer program at the set hourly rates described in the agreement. And finally, the administration recommends that the Board of School Directors approves the attached temporary staffing services agreement with MCIU for behavior management services through June 14, 2019 for $510 a day.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thanks. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? The motion passes. We will now have a report of the February 14th Facilities and Purchasing Committee meeting by Mr. Driscoll.
Thank you. We began by, as always, reviewing and recommending for approval list of bills. We then discussed the Easter Seals contract that was just mentioned, as well as the history textbook that Dr. Van Lynch discussed. We then moved on to the purchasing report for school installers of Pennsylvania, $14,193. This, as part of the district's gender inclusivity practices, this contract to install privacy showers in Lower Merion High School locker room is next to the pool. Two contracts for air gas technologies, one for $187,887, the other one's for $174,788. This is to install CNG tanks at both Harriton and Lower Merion. This to add a faster fueling capacity so that we spend more miles between fill-ups. The last contract was a Singer for $19,608, 68 cents. Purchased two new pizza ovens, one for Welsh Valley, one for Bala Cynwyd. The existing pizza ovens were not replaced last summer, but as a result of the improved throughput at these two cafeterias from last summer's construction, these new ovens will further get kids through the lines a little bit faster than we currently are experiencing. The next contract was E-Plus Technology, $135,146.80 to replace the existing network core hardware that is 8 years old and nearing the end of its useful life. This replacement has been discussed and forecasted in the IT department's submission of 5-year IT plans of obsolescence of equipment. Next contract was E-Plus Technology, $145,857. Replace the existing firewall hardware as it is 8 years old and again nearing its end of useful life, also forecast in the 5-year IT plan. The next contract was with Raptor Technologies, $17,250. This is purchased new hardware and software that scans an ID, such as a driver's license, performs a background check, and prints a visitor's badge, which with the visitor's pictures on it to allow the visitor to enter the school building for a particular purpose. This technology upgrade is based on a recommendation from the Security Task Force, and other school districts have implemented it. We then just reviewed the contract with Advanced Protection Company at $23 per hour, $28 per hour. They are to provide security guards at our elementary campus and eventually all campuses. They will provide general monitoring of each campus and provide additional assistance in emergency situations, such as a fire drill. This was, again, a recommendation from the Security Task Force. St. Joe's University, total of $28,005.07. Every year we rent a large gymnasium at St. Joe's University for both the Harriton and Lower Merion High School graduations in 2 nights. Reynolds Construction, LLC, an additional $244,400. This is a contract for Reynolds Construction to continue providing due diligence, pre-construction services, and bidding and procurement of construction contracts over the next 12 months approximately for the locations of 1860 Montgomery Ave, 1800 Montgomery Ave, and 1835 County Line. The next contract was Spiesel Architects Group, amendment not to exceed $80,000. This will allow Spiesel to obtain additional civil engineering to support through tentative sketch for a school at 1860 Montgomery Avenue. Gilbert Architects, not to exceed $12,500, will provide historic impact study for construction at the athletic fields at 1800 Montgomery Avenue, 1835 County Line Road. Gilbert Architects, not to exceed $11,400, will provide plans to convert 2 large classrooms in Kinwood Elementary into 4 classrooms to help the district's enrollment growth. This work will assist the district in obtaining the construction permits from the township. This project is for internal reconfigurations only, no external work. And the last contract was with Frank Devine Associates, not to exceed $6,000, to provide additional traffic studies and updates to reports as the district goes through tentative sketch approval for a new middle school at 1860 Montgomery Avenue. That concluded our business, and then we just moved on to the 5-year facilities plan, which is a presentation provided from the operations department describing upcoming larger projects to maintain our buildings. Things discussed such as asphalt repair, roof repairs, masonry repairs, replacement of chillers, etc., the bigger projects. This type of planning allows for the district to forecast and plan for major expenses that will be incurred in the future. Our next meeting is on March 14th at 8:30 in this room, and that concludes my report.
Under the Business Office and Finance section, I'll take items B through E in one motion. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the following action items: approve the list of bills, approve the financial report for January 2019, accept with pleasure pursuant to Policy 702 up to $3,000 from the Belmont Hills Home and School Association for hardwood floors in the Belmont Hills Library Maker section space. An anonymous donation of $5,000 to Ms. Siemens' classroom at Penn Wynne Elementary School, and approve the MCIU 2019-20 school district membership services budget with a proposed charge of Lower Merion School District of $142,388.
And I should have said thank you to Mr. Driscoll for his report. Sorry, I realize I jumped ahead here. Are there any questions or comments? Go ahead, Diane.
Regarding the anonymous donation, while I am extremely thrilled that someone would offer $5,000 to the school district, I'm a little concerned that it's going to one classroom and, unlike the Belmont Hills donation, which is, a lot of money but benefits a lot of students, this benefits one specific classroom, and I am a little concerned about the imbalance of that.
Yeah, we looked at that. This is a special needs classroom, and the administration looked at it and was supportive. But we did take special note and special investigation of it.
Do we know what they're going to do with them? What we're going to do with the money?
I forget. I talked it over with Mr. Bernadowitz. But this was like months ago, wasn't it? Yeah, I actually thought we'd already passed it.
Yeah.
Okay, could the board get some follow-up
Sure.
on what exactly it is? And, I mean, it sounds makes a little more sense rather than just a general ed class, but I'd be curious.
Yeah, sure. I honestly can't remember. There were some specific circumstances around the donation.
And especially I'm concerned of an inequality it might create between similar programs to Dr. Paul's discussion earlier about how things are implemented differently.
Go ahead.
I just want to note, too, that it is our elementary age life skills program. So it houses for the district.
Okay. Thank you. With that, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes.
Under the facilities and operations sections, I'd like to take items A through L in one action item unless the board member would like to separate any items.
Hold on one second. Would you like to separate out? I think we need to separate out. It's I. Is that-
H and I, or just I?
No, I think it's,
Just I, but I do, but just a clarity on H, these security officers are non-armed, correct?
Correct.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, so we're gonna take I separately, so we'll do that last, if that's okay.
Do A through H, and then we'll do J through L. Okay, under the administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the following action items or contracts for privacy shower stalls at Lower Merion High School pool locker room to increase the CNG storage at Harrington High School and Lower Merion High School. Pizza oven replacements at Walsh Valley Middle School and Ballakilwa Middle School. Approve the license agreement with St. Joseph University for 2019 graduation ceremonies for Harrington and Lower Merion High Schools for estimated cost of $14,000 for each school, and that is subject to the solicitor's review. Approve agreement with Reynolds Construction LLC for construction management services for demolition of existing structures and construction of new middle school at 1860 West Montgomery Avenue, and demolition of existing structures and construction of playing fields at 1800 West Montgomery Avenue, 1835 County Line Road. Approve the First Amendment to professional services with Spiesel Architectural Group, Inc. for not to exceed amount of $80,000. Approve the individual work order from F. Tavani and Associates, Inc. for more detailed traffic study to be incorporated with the tentative sketch for 1860 West Montgomery Avenue for not to exceed amount of $6,000. Approve the proposal from Gilbert Architects, Inc. for professional services. That's for the historical impact study report related to construction of playing fields at 1800 West Montgomery Avenue, 1835 County Line Road for not to exceed fee of $12,500. Approve the proposal from Gilbert Architects for exploration analysis of space modification at Kinwood Elementary for not to exceed fee of $11,400. Approve the security service agreement and amendment with Advanced Protection Company's amount of $342,160 with cost for additional services as provided in the agreement. Approve the quote from E-Plus Network Hardware and required software licenses amount $135,145.80. Approve the quote from E-Plus to replace existing firewall system in the amount of $145,857. And approve the settlement agreement and release with Landtech Enterprises, Inc. in the form presented to the board.
Okay, and I'll just remind everybody that these were reviewed in detail, and that, just as I periodically do, that there's no relation between me and Gilbert Architects. I like to say that periodically. So with that, are there any questions? Do you have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained. Can we go back to I at this
Yes.
point?
The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the subscription agreement and quote from Raptor Technologies to provide computerized visitor management software for all 10 schools in the amount of $17,250, as well as future annual renewal fees and supply costs of visitor badges, printer cartridges, and that is subject to the solicitor's review.
Okay, thank you. And this was a subject of discussion at the recent facilities and purchasing meeting. So I'll just open it up to comments and questions at this time.
Thanks. Thanks for pulling that out. I just wanted to explain why I don't think we should approve this at this time. We don't have the policies and administrative regulations in place for how to handle having this technology in our schools, and I think it's there's all kinds of issues that can potentially come up, not least of which is a parent who doesn't have a state-issued photo ID, not being able to get in the building. You know, our parents don't always read all the paperwork that we send to them regarding what's going to be expected and what we have to do, and you know, we don't have any policies in place yet for how we're going to manage that particular situation. What do we do about school dances and chaperones, Saturday activities, adult students visiting other buildings? I mean, there's a whole list of issues that I can see that are not insurmountable, but I feel need to be discussed and decided before we purchase and implement. So with that, you know, I would recommend that we delay this purchase until we have those policies in place.
Asked for the administration to respond about what the policies and practices were around the issue of the ID, as well as your concern around the sex offender issue. So
Sure.
Can you please address
And
that?
just as a broad response, we really, I believe, do have policies and practices in place. We'll certainly have to take a look at this in terms of practices, and there may be some administrative regulations that need to be tweaked, but pretty much everything that the system does electronically, we've had to do by hand, with the exception of the child abuse checking. So parent comes to without an ID, there is a process that we use now, but Megan has some specifics on it, so Mrs. Schaefer.
Sure. As Mr. Driscoll mentioned, this is intended to be a safety and security measure first and foremost, but it also provides the benefit of providing some administrative efficiencies for us in terms of managing visitors who come to the building. Right now, it's paper and pencil. There is an expectation that all visitors produce an identification when they come to the building. That was an outcome of the School Safety Task Force recommendation in 2013. Raptor was something that was looked at that time and has surfaced over the years as a potential option for us, and we think now is the right time to move forward with it. Again, it's not just about figuring out who's on the Megan's List registry, but it's also our ability to see who is in our building at any given time, and should there a crisis occur at a building, we have a central way of getting an accounting of who the visitors are at any given time, rather than having to find that, sign-in sheet in a moment of crisis. So as I discussed with the solicitor's office, it's our understanding, because it's not a substantial change in practice, it's really going through technology to enhance what we already do, that there wouldn't be anything that we would need to overhaul in order to move forward with this process. However, there certainly is discussion we could have at the policy level if there is something we wanted to add to the administrative regulation as a result of ongoing conversation. But at this time, it's my understanding through our solicitor's office, and Mr. Roos can confirm, that we wouldn't need to make any change to our policy in order to move forward.
Okay, thank you. I mean, Diane, do you have more specific questions that you'd like to ask? And I'll open it up to everybody, so I just wanted to give Diane.
Yeah, I appreciate that, thank you. I still have concerns about the implementation. If a parent does come, has their ID scanned, and then is not found, I don't know what the proper term is, a safe person to allow in the building, what happens then? What's the policy?
Well, right now, I can let you know that a registered sex offender, someone that would be qualify as a sexually violent predator, is someone that the police would be required to notify us about. And there would be an expectation that we, monitor for that person's presence on school property. And we do have cases where there are other concerns relative to a visitor coming into the school, but so long as there are parental rights that are intact, there's some obligation on our part to accommodate that parent or guardian's access to a meeting about their child or information about their child, and we'll do that in a way that ensures that there may be another professional employee present at all times with that adult. The meeting could be held, in a principal's office or another designated location, but really there isn't, just because someone's on a list doesn't mean that they're excluded from school property. There may just be extra steps that we take, which we would do already with the system we have in place.
You speak of a violent sexual predator. Not every person on that list is a violent sexual predator. So, but also then, who, if you're going to have a chaperone for that person when they're in the building, who that chaperone's going to be, what are you pulling them away from? I'm just concerned about the details of the implementation and
Currently, it's my understanding that's the principal makes the decision.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right, so that would be the case here, is whoever is administrating the system would be instructed to find an administrator that's available. Typically, it's a principal or an assistant principal, and that's the protocol that we follow now, and we would continue to do so.
Are there questions or comments by other board members?
I mean, I am in support of this. I mean, I can just speak. I mean, two things that are coming to me a little odd on this is like, while I do support parents coming to our buildings, I'm struggling with they coming unannounced or having no plans to show up. I mean, there seems to be like, I'm going to show up on Tuesday. I'm going to meet with someone. Like, there should be something known. So this is just, formalizing the pre-setup of the meeting. I mean, I think a parent showing up out of the blue, I just want to sit and seems odd to me. I hope we're not doing. And the only thing I do want to comment is when I'm going to office buildings, this is standard. Mm-hmm. I can't get into any office building in New York or San Francisco or anywhere without doing this. And I think that that's kind of, unfortunately, where we're headed, of where we are. And I see nothing wrong with, these are our kids. A little extra for now to keep our kids a little safer seems
right, but
like
there's not the background check.
I'm a little bit confused because what I understand and what I had understood from the meeting is that the technology is being put in place to facilitate so that our frontline staff, who are there's often a lot of people coming in and out because particularly in cases like at the elementary school, if there's some sort of like a recital. Well, even thinking during the day, like a party or something, whatever it is, that there was, and often in the morning, there's a lot of sort of rushing. I mean, as it is right now, when you go into the schools, you have to show ID and you get you sign in and you get a tag and all the rest of it. And so this is essentially placing it into where you're swiping an ID, and if you don't have an ID or if you just have a passport, whatever, there's ways of doing it, but it's attempting to make that process smoother and less contingent on a front office staff member being able to kind of deal with
And
everything coming out.
I think you should see it in tandem with the security guards. So right now, certainly we feel that the security guards give a visible presence to the buildings that basically says that there's somebody in charge here whose job is security, as opposed to a secretary or a clerk. And so what happens now, it's really the responsibility of the secretary or the clerk to be the greeter. So while they're answering the phone and doing a whole bunch of other things, they're also trying to greet. So looking at this in tandem with a visitor system. And to be honest with you, Diane, I mean, I had 5-6 years ago when I looked at it in another district, I said, well, we're doing all this, yet there's a concert and the doors are wide open. And that's true. So we're not looking to harden our schools to the point where you are being treated the way you are, in New York or San Francisco or so forth and so on. But at the same time, for the casual visitor, and people do drop in, and we don't necessarily want them not to drop in. I mean, for the most part. And want them to feel welcome. We also want to do it in a way that's as safe as possible. The other benefit is we can know, which we can't now, at any given time, who's in the building.
Right.
So now you sign in, maybe you signed out. We want to harden that aspect too. So now when you sign in, you get your badge. When you leave, you really have to, let us know you're going, leave the badge there or something like that. Those are the practices that we are going to have to tweak, not so much an AR or a policy, but a specific practice to make sure. And I would fully expect that it'll be clumsy in the beginning because it'll be new. No matter how much outreach we do, we'll not get everybody. But I know Amy's already working on a plan for, rolling out information. The security company that we're recommending has recommended not to go full bore right away. They're saying we ought to really work with perhaps just our elementary schools first. We would probably put this in with just the elementary schools first because they don't have but we do feel that just over halfway through the year, we want to get up and going and begin to implement the recommendations of the task force.
David?
Yeah, hi, thanks. Just a couple of questions. I know that this was something that had been discussed, I think, in the school safety task force this past year, the issue of Raptor. And I think it was sort of 50-50 on, I don't know if it was a recommendation from the group at the time, but there was a number of people thought it was good, a number of people were concerned. My question would be, what's our commitment to this? Is it 1 year? Is it more than 1 year? What if we don't like it? I mean, what if it is too cumbersome? What if it doesn't achieve what we want? I think that's the.
Sure. There is a hardware purchasing, but the licensing, I believe, is annually. I believe he's checking, but I believe it's annual.
Are there any other comments or questions?
I mean, so just to follow up. So
I'm
if
sorry,
we
I thought you were done.
Not quite, almost.
It's not a pause.
Yeah, it was a deep pause. But so we're authorizing $17,250, and that covers all for next year, would it be? I mean, the implementation?
He's double checking.
It's 1 year. George is indicating 1 year.
Okay, and if we wanted to dump, say if we didn't like it after a year, that would be the extent of our investment.
Yeah, keep in mind one of the things that we're looking to do, for instance, so now one of the concerns that I have is that if you go into the office, you'll see a sort of a monitor, and that's got the cameras from all over the school. But again, the secretary's clerks really aren't monitoring this. So we're hoping that the security guard will also be able to monitor outside cameras. And so we will be purchasing extra equipment so that they have that at their station. But that would stay whether there's a Raptor or not. Short answer is, if you don't like it, you don't have to do it after a year. You can stop even before the year. If you really don't like it, you just invest the dollars.
Lori?
It's 1 year, and you have 60 days prior to the end of the year to give a notification we want to terminate.
Lord.
Not to belabor the point, but those front offices are very busy. There's parents coming all the time to pick up and drop off kids for the orthodontist, for the doctor, for, all kinds of reasons. And I do see that it's a lot for the team in those offices to manage, and you kind of think, well, it's pretty easy to distract someone, because there's a lot going on at all times. So just knowing who's in the building and having more information about that, I think is a really good idea, and just creating a little more process about who's coming in and out. I mean, we're still a very paper-based ad hoc system for people who are visiting the schools, and I do think it's time to become slightly more formal about it, because we're trying to be more secure. So I think it's a good idea.
Thank you. Deborah, go ahead.
I'll just say we've been using it, and what it does is.
Can you say who we is?
Yes, sorry. Shipley has been using it for the last number of years. I don't know exactly how many. And, one of the benefits is having it print out a visitor badge with the name and a photograph. So, staff is walking around with staff badges, and visitors are now walking around with badges. So that way, they're easily identifiable to students and staff who's supposed to be in the building. So it is, anybody can slap on a blank label where they've just written their name. But, doing this makes it a little more official and secure for everybody involved.
Okay.
Can I just say one more thing? My concern is I like the idea of having a formal way of keeping track of who's in the building and who's leaving and all of that. But I just think that there are some sticky pieces to this that I think should be discussed more robustly at a committee meeting before we implement it. For example, after-school activities. So you have a basketball game at the middle school after school. Does every parent who comes to that game have to swipe in? How are we protecting the students after school? I know we don't, but I'm saying now that we have this, I just think it deserves a more robust conversation before we implement it. That's my point.
I think I hear your point, but I think if you want to change the policies and the ARs, that's a discussion for policies and ARs, but it doesn't. But I think at this point, what we're saying is we're going to go with our continued policies and practices and implement that with the technology. And I think if there's a larger issue of whether we want to start, how we would monitor after-school activities, I think that's a different issue. I mean, it's a good issue, but I think it's a different issue. That's just my opinion. Anyway, okay, at this point, and I've lost my place on here. That was I. No, I know we have to vote, but I'm looking for I. I got it. Okay. So, I'm going to put the motion on the table. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No.
Abstained? The motion passes. Okay, thank you. We did all the rest of this. Okay, at this time, I'd like to have a report of the policy committee meeting from Ms. Robinson. It is you this time, right?
Yes. Thank you. The policy committee met on February 8th in this room. There were no second readings this month. For first reading, we had policy in AR 201, admission of beginners. This policy discusses when and at what age students may be enrolled in first grade. Admission to first grade students shall occur at any time the child is admitted by those children who have attained the age of 6 years by September 1st. Kindergarten is likewise 5 years by September 1st, and the AR spells out procedures for testing the student at the parent and guardian's expense for early entry, depending on whether they attended a public or non-public school in the past. Policy in AR 203, bloodborne pathogens, is set for repeal as most of the language has been moved to policy in AR 205. Policy in AR 205, immunization and communicable diseases. In order to safeguard the community from the spread of certain communicable diseases, the board requires the policy guidelines be followed. Immunizations are required to be documented and maintained within 5 days of the beginning of the school year or risk exclusion from school. Additional information can be found in the administrative regulation. Policy in AR 211, student accident insurance. The district provides insurance through Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic Association, PIAA for short, sports, so at no cost to the parent or guardian for injury or accident sustained in the course of participation in the district's athletic program during the period of time the sport is in season. The insurance this year covers club sports as well. In addition, parents and guardians can purchase at a nominal cost insurance coverage for participation in district activities other than those governed by PIAA or club sports for injury resulting from accidents sustained by the student at any school-sponsored activity on or off school grounds or while being transported to such activity. This accident insurance, as well as the PIAA insurance, would be secondary to the parent or guardian's medical coverage. Additional information about this insurance can be found in the beginning of the school year on the website and through the business office. Policy in AR 250, student accidents and injuries. This policy discusses the reporting and treatment of student accidents and injuries. In all cases, the school nurse is the point person, so the nurse is the person to be notified of the accident or injury. The AR includes information about immediate care, notification of the student's parents or guardian, and where appropriate emergency transportation takes place for the student. Policy in AR 357, 457, 557, outside employment and business interests. The language and delegation of responsibility has been cleaned up and tightened. Questions regarding this policy or the AR should be directed to the building principal or immediate supervisor of the employee. We discussed administrative regulations next. AR 210, use of medication. This policy underwent an extensive revision to include medical marijuana and language about Narcan. Now the AR is being cleaned up to provide that the procedures for medical marijuana apply to all students regardless of age. AR 259, gender expansive and transgender students, ensuring equity and non-discrimination. The AR language has been cleaned up and the language has been added about participation in sports in accordance with the PIAA bylaws and PA Central League gender expansive and transgender policy. In summary, if a student is planning on trying out on an athletic team that differs from the sex assigned to them at birth, the student or legal guardian is responsible to notify the school principal in writing, no less than 1 month prior to the scheduled tryout date. Kindergarten then we went on to discussion of 2 programs. Kindergarten wrap program refers to the half-day kindergarten program run by a private non-LMSD affiliated child care provider that complements LMSD's half-day program. LMSD has no role in deciding whether or not a student will attend a kindergarten wrap program. However, LMSD will provide 2 transportations for the student per day, either at the morning and the middle of the day or the morning and the end of the day. As the latter produces some uncertainty when the student attends a wrap program, there needs to be a process in place to ensure the safety and accountability of the wrap program in transporting the student to and from LMSD. The proposed procedures involve the provider must identify all staff that will be responsible for picking up and dropping off students at LMSD schools and must present updated clearances and receive ID badges from LMSD at a cost to the provider. Also, families must fill out a parent-guardian request and release of liability form and return it to the school district for processing. Although this process creates a lot of work on the school district, it will ensure the safety of our students. AR 206-4 regarding the partner school policy was discussed. Next, the procedure that governs the administration and procedures for the partner school program will not change this year. Dates will stay the same, and it is required to be reviewed each year with the policy committee. The next policy committee meeting will be held in this room on March 8th, 2019. Thanks.
Thank you very much. So we have the following policies that are being reviewed for first reading. Policy AR 201, admission of beginners. Policy AR 203, bloodborne pathogens for repeal. Policy AR 205, immunization and communicable diseases. Policy 211, pupil accident insurance. Policy 250, student accidents and injuries. Policy 357, 457, 557, outside business interests. Since they're first reads, there's no vote at this time. It'll be brought back to policy for more discussion. Okay, at this time, I'd like to invite members of the public to come and speak on any issue, be it an agenda or non-agenda item. If you would like to make a comment or ask a question, please come and sign in. State your name and generally where you live, and 3-minute limit. And can everybody who would like to speak please sign up now?
Sam Catania, Hartford. I just have two quick questions tonight. So I understand that tonight we approved a new contract for additional security personnel on the campuses, and I understand that they won't be armed. I was Googling around and looking at the company. They seem like they have pretty good reviews online and good testimonials from administration at other schools. My question is if administration could potentially clarify what exactly they'll do differently from current campus aides on campuses, and what exactly their job description will be. And then my second question is, what am I doing? This computer's making beeps. Anyway, recently Harriton had to cancel and reschedule a pep rally due to a threat that was made by a student. And luckily the threat was not serious, but it highlighted that students don't know exactly what to do in a potentially problematic situation like that. And I believe the system for preparing for something like that is something like run, hide, fight, or some sort of triple word. Instead we saw students running out the door, calling their parents, trying to go through the office, and then teachers like blocking doors, and a little bit of a mess that I think is a little bit of a deviation from probably the best way to go about preparing for a potential emergency or something like that. And so I was just wondering if there's going to be any sort of education or lesson or teaching given to students about that to better prepare people for a potentially problematic situation like that.
Thanks for those questions, Sam.
Sure. Let me deal with the first one. So our campus aides supervise students and to a certain degree, student behavior. These folks will not do that. They're strictly security guards. They're greeters at the door. Their presence, they will take the place of the secretaries who currently let people in or don't let people in. They'll also be scanning security cameras, which really no one does. Our cameras are really almost always after action types of technology, where we really should have somebody looking at them, observing who's coming close to the school, who's in the parking lots, things of that nature. So that's really what the security guards will do. In terms of the lockdown drills, we're constantly looking to prepare. I know this year, I think we did lunch and learns because that was a concern for students. So how to prepare for those without causing a problem can often be an issue. I wasn't there that day for this. You were up there, weren't you? No, you weren't up there. But I'll look into what took place at Harriton. But I got a different report than that. I'll look into it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Roos?
Board met an executive, actually didn't meet, it was a conference call, executive session on February 12, 2019 regarding the litigation over the condemnation.
Okay, thank you. Upcoming meetings, Monday, March 11th, an Education Committee board meeting. Monday, March 18th, a regular business board meeting, that's 8 p.m. in the Administration Building. As well as committee meetings, which are Tuesday, March 5th is curriculum. Friday, March 8th is policy. March 13th is finance. That's not on here, so that's okay. We'll make sure that gets on there. And March 14th is facilities and purchasing, and those are all held at 8:30 a.m. here. And with that, we are adjourned. Good night, everyone.